The cries of a newborn echoed faintly in the cold, misty dawn as the villagers of Izayama prepared for a new day. The birds hadn't begun their songs yet, and the soft rustling of palm leaves was the only witness to the tragedy about to unfold. Amara, barely 19, lay weak on the old raffia mat inside her husband's compound. Her body trembled from the exhaustion of childbirth, her face pale, her breath shallow. Hours earlier, she had brought life into the world, a beautiful baby boy with eyes as clear as the morning sky and tiny fists that clutched the air as though already fighting for survival. But Amara's joy was short-lived. Standing by the doorway was Nnenna, the second wife of Chief Dyke, Amara's husband. Nnenna's heart was a pit of bitterness, a furnace of envy that burned fiercely the moment Amara, the much younger, more beautiful wife, arrived in the compound. 4 years, Nnenna had prayed for a child, performed sacrifices, drank bitter herbs, nothing. But now, Amara, barely 2 moons into the marriage, had given birth to the heir that Nnenna could never have. Her mind was made up. The baby, swaddled in faded cloth, whimpered softly beside his mother. Amara's eyes fluttered open, weak from the blood loss, and caught Nnenna hovering nearby, her expression unreadable. Where's my son?" Amara's voice cracked like brittle wood. Nnenna forced a smile, leaning over the fragile woman. "Rest, my dear. I will care for him." Before Amara could protest, darkness swallowed her vision again. The compound slept. Even the chickens, notorious for their early crowing, were silent. Nnenna moved quickly, the infant bundled tightly against her chest, hidden beneath her faded wrapper. She crept past the huts, her sandals silent against the dusty earth. The village river, Aji Ula, flowed beyond the trees, a sacred place where women fetched water, where elders offered sacrifices, where secrets drowned beneath the current. Thunder rumbled low in the distance, though the sky was clear. Some believed the gods spoke through thunder, warning of things unseen. But Nnenna was deaf to warnings. Her heart was poisoned with jealousy, her mind clouded with rage. At the riverbank, she paused. The water rippled, dark and endless under the faint moonlight. The baby's cries grew louder, fragile, desperate. His tiny eyes, still adjusting to life, met Nnenna's. For a fleeting second, something stirred within her, the raw innocence of the child, the faint resemblance to Chief Dyke, the helplessness of someone not yet meant to suffer. But the poison of hatred was stronger. This is the only way," she whispered, more to herself than to anyone. With trembling hands, she lifted the child over the water. His cries pierced the night like sharp blades, slicing through the silence. Her breath faltered, her body stiffened, but she shut her eyes and released him. The splash was faint, like a pebble tossed into a pond. Silence. But as she turned to leave, the sound of a low wail, carried by the wind, reached her ears. She froze. It wasn't the baby's cry. It was something else, ancient, guttural, almost supernatural. She turned back, eyes wide with fear, scanning the river's surface. Ripples spread where the child had vanished, but beneath the currents, shadows moved, unfamiliar shapes twisting like restless spirits. Panic surged through her veins. Behind her, footsteps approached, heavy and hurried. She spun around to see Chief Dyke, lantern in hand, his face contorted with confusion. "Nnenna, what are you doing here?" he barked, eyes narrowing. Nnenna's heart pounded against her ribs, her throat dry. She forced words past her lips, but they came out jagged, broken. I came to fetch water." Dyke's eyes fell on the river, the disturbed currents, the eerie silence that followed. And then, almost in answer, a faint, haunting cry echoed from the depths again. "Where is my son?" His voice roared, filled with suspicion and dread. Before Nnenna could lie, the clouds rumbled louder, the river swirled violently, and the haunting wail returned, closer, sharper, as if the river itself was speaking, mourning, warning. Nnenna stumbled backward, her knees weak, her mind spiraling into chaos. Unknown to her, Beneath the river's surface, a figure stirred, the faint silhouette of a woman draped in flowing garments, her eyes glowing like burning coals, her arms cradling the infant as the waters carried them deeper into the unknown. The villagers would soon awaken. Whispers would spread like wildfire. A mother's wail would shake the heavens. The river would keep its secrets, for now. The morning sun barely crept over the horizon when the news spread like wildfire across Izayama. Women dropped their calabashes, men paused mid-conversation, children huddled close to their mothers as whispers filled the air. The newborn, lost in the river. The compound was chaos. Amara, pale and broken, screamed into the void, her trembling body barely supported by the women who held her. Her eyes were wide, red, wild with grief, yet burning with questions no one dared to answer. "Where is my son?" Her voice cracked with the pain of 1,000 daggers. Chief Dyke stood frozen, his face twisted in disbelief and silent rage. His footsteps were heavy as he returned from the riverbank, the haunting cries still echoing in his ears. His heart shattered, his only heir gone, and the weight of suspicion crushing his chest. Nnenna sat alone by the corner, her hands trembling, her face ghostly pale. The villagers surrounded the compound, their eyes sharp, their tongues restless with suspicion. They knew hatred when they saw it. They'd seen how Nnenna looked at Amara, how her eyes burned with envy each time the young wife's belly swelled with life. But no one had proof. Just whispers. Just shadows. Old Mama Ejima, the village midwife, pushed through the crowd, her cane thudding against the earth. Her gray eyes, wise and stern, scanned Nnenna. The old woman's voice sliced through the murmurs. "The river speaks. Aji Ula never swallows without spitting out the truth." An uneasy silence fell over them. Suddenly, a small boy ran into the compound, breathless, eyes wide with terror. His words came out in fragments, but the message was clear. They saw something, at the river, a woman, glowing, holding a child, walking on water. The villagers gasped. Superstition and fear collided like fire and oil. Tales of Mami Wata, the water spirits, were as old as the river itself. Some believed they protected the innocent. Others whispered they claimed lives in exchange for secrets. Amara's sobs turned into a painful wail as her mind spun with confusion. "My baby, my son, taken by the river." Chief Dyke clenched his fists. His heart told him what his eyes couldn't deny. Nnenna was involved. But tradition bound his hands, and proof was as slippery as the river's surface. The elders gathered by the shrine before nightfall. The air was thick with incense and fear. The village priest, draped in white cowries and red beads, summoned the spirits for answers. The flames in the fire pit danced violently, casting shadows of faces both living and gone. Then, a voice rose from within the fire. Raspy, ancient, heavy with sorrow. "The child is alive, but not untouched by darkness. Blood cries for blood. The river holds the truth, but beware, the price of betrayal is yet unpaid." Gasps erupted. Eyes darted to Nnenna, whose body trembled as though possessed. Her knees buckled, her head spinning with dread, for in her dreams the night before, she had seen the same glowing woman, the same infant, floating beyond her reach, eyes of judgment burning through her soul. But it wasn't just a dream. The villagers decided. At dawn, they would return to the river. The elders, the priest, and the grieving mother. They would seek the child, seek the spirit, seek the truth. But nightfall came with more than shadows. Deep in the forest, by the river's edge, the waters churned. The air thickened with fog. And beneath the surface, the faint cries of a baby echoed again, so fragile, so close, so full of unanswered questions. But the tragedy, the heartbreak, the true cost of betrayal, had only just begun. The first light of dawn crept slowly across the village as a heavy mist hung low over the fields. The villagers moved like shadows, quiet and wary, following the elders as they made their way toward Ula, the river that now carried both mystery and tragedy upon its restless waves. Amara could barely stand, but grief fueled her weak body. Wrapped in a faded cloth, her face pale and stained with tears, she leaned on two of the older women for support. Her eyes were hollow, yet behind them burned a desperate hope, a hope only a grieving mother could understand. Chief Dyke walked beside her, his face unreadable but his mind raging. His only son lost, or stolen. His young wife broken, and his household drowning in whispers. His heart suspected the worst, but his pride, his name, demanded proof. Nnenna trailed behind them, every step heavier than the last. Her eyes darted nervously as the villagers watched her with thinly veiled suspicion. Her heart raced, not with guilt, but with fear. Fear of what the river would reveal, and what price she might still pay. When they arrived, the river was unnaturally still. The waters of Ula, usually flowing and singing, now sat silent, a dark mirror reflecting the cloudy sky. Birds circled overhead but did not land. The air smelled of wet earth and something else, something ancient, unsettling. The priest stepped forward, his staff etched with symbols of protection, his face marked with chalk and ash. His deep voice broke the silence. Ula, keeper of secrets, mother of waters, reveal the truth. He threw handfuls of kola nuts and white cowries into the river. They floated, then spun, then sank. The crowd held its breath. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through them, bending trees and sending ripples across the still water. The villagers gasped as a figure emerged from the mist, faint, shimmering, almost ghostly. It was a woman, her long hair flowing like water, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. In her arms was the child. Amara's legs buckled. My son." The spirit woman drifted just above the water, holding the newborn close. The child's tiny chest rose and fell, alive, but marked. Across his forehead was a faint, crimson line, the sign of the river's judgment. The villagers dropped to their knees, fear gripping their hearts. The spirit's voice echoed, not loud, but heavy enough to silence the world. "An innocent was cast into my depths, but the river rejects the blood of betrayal. The child lives, yet the curse remains. Until truth is spoken and justice is done, no peace shall reign in this land." All eyes turned to Nnenna. Her knees gave way, her lips quivered, but pride chained her tongue. The spirit's eyes burned through her. "You threw what was not yours. You tried to bury life beneath the waves, but the river remembers." Chief Dyke's face twisted with shock and anger. His fists clenched, his jaw tightened. His voice, cold and shaking, broke the silence. "Nnenna, what have you done?" Tears welled in Nnenna's eyes, but defiance clung to her like wet clothes. She opened her mouth to speak, but the river roared, waves crashing violently, as though warning her that lies would only deepen the curse. The spirit woman drifted closer to the shore, lowering the child into the arms of the old midwife, Mama Ejima. The infant whimpered, alive, fragile, but his eyes flickered with something unnatural. A mark, a scar, a curse yet to be fulfilled. Amara clutched her baby to her chest, her tears mixing with the mist, her heart breaking with relief and terror. The villagers stared at Nnenna, waiting, demanding. But the story, the tragedy, the full weight of betrayal was far from over. The air grew heavy as the villagers waited, the spirit's words still hanging like a sword above them. The river roared again, the sky darkened, and all eyes stayed fixed on Nnenna, her shoulders trembling, her face pale, her lips sealed by pride and fear. But the gods had waited long enough. Suddenly, thunder cracked across the sky, lightning splitting the clouds, striking a nearby palm tree which burst into flames. The villagers screamed and scattered, but the elders held firm, raising their staffs in defiance. The river spirit's voice boomed once more, colder, final. Truth refused is death embraced. Let justice fall where lies are sown. Nnenna collapsed to the ground, her body convulsing as an unseen force wrapped around her. Her mouth twisted, and without her control, the words poured out like poison finally expelled. "I did it!" she wailed, her voice broken, her pride shattered. I threw the child into the river. I wanted him gone. I couldn't bear to see her, with what I never had." Tears rolled down her cheeks, but the villagers did not pity her. Whispers turned into shouts, and hands pointed in condemnation. Justice was no longer a distant dream, it was here, alive, and roaring like the river. The village priest stepped forward, his face grave. "By the laws of our ancestors, by the spirits of the water, by the cries of an innocent, you, Nnenna, are condemned." Chief Dyke's eyes burned with anger, regret, and disappointment. His voice cracked like dry wood underfoot. "You have stained this family with blood and shame. You will face the river's wrath." Nnenna's screams filled the air as she was dragged toward the river's edge, her legs kicking, her voice pleading for mercy. But mercy had long fled, drowned by the waves of betrayal. The spirit woman hovered above the water, her eyes never leaving Nnenna. Let her soul know the depth of the pain she caused. Let her wander, lost, until repentance is found. With one final cry, Nnenna was cast into the river. But unlike the innocent child, the water did not reject her, it swallowed her whole. Her body sank, her voice faded, and the waters calmed. The storm lifted. The skies cleared. Peace, like a gentle breeze, swept over the crowd. Amara clutched her child, tears of sorrow and relief blending on her face. The scar on the baby's forehead would remain, a reminder of the evil done, but also of survival, of justice, of the river's memory. Chief Dyke fell to his knees beside Amara, shame etched into every line of his face. "Forgive me, for what my household became, for what you suffered." Amara, weak but strong in spirit, nodded, holding her son tighter. "Let this be the end of sorrow, let truth reign, let justice prevail." The villagers slowly dispersed, their hearts heavy but cleansed, their eyes fixed on the child, the one who survived the river, the one who carried the mark, the one destined to rise beyond tragedy. Justice had prevailed. But the scar, the memory, the lesson would never fade. The story ended, but the echoes of it lived forever. Your support means the world to us. Subscribe now, like this video, and share it. Together, we can grow and inspire more people.